Welcome to a video from digitallifestyle.com. In this video we're going to look at importing and exporting sounds and patches from Korg Modwave into the Korg Modwave. This is the hardware one, the native one as well, and the new Mark II as well if you've got one of those. We're going to be looking at patches, wavetables and samples, all handled slightly differently depending on which type of sound and which kind of information you're bringing in, and whether you're on the hardware or the native version, the VST version. So I've got up here the this is the Modwave librarian, editor librarian for the hardware one, and I've also got a native instance up as well, so we can look at how we transfer them. And you also, if you're going to be using some samples, you're going to be wanting to use the sample builder as well, so it's worth having that available. So let's go back to the Modwave. We're using the hardware one, and I'm going to show you how we can export patches, sound data from the librarian, and then how we can import them. And I'll take it from the hardware one and import them into the native one, but it can work either way around. So if you've downloaded one of my sets of free patches for the Korg Modwave, I'm going to show how you import those, but we're going to start by creating a package to export them. So if we go over to the librarian here, you can see I've got various filters on here, and here we're looking at performances. So if I look at this PPG selection, here's all my PPG based sounds, so it's emulations or recreations of PPG waves, samples, sounds using wavetables from the PPG. Now they're not native, so some wavetables and some sounds I have, like this collection here, this DW8000. If we take a look at one of these sounds, it's using the native wavetables. So it means when we're exporting this patch and bringing it into another Modwave, we don't have to worry about wavetables because it's one of the built-in ones. So for a single patch, you can just go to export, choose the folder, just go on my device, and there you go, we've exported that string and brass patch in there. If we wanted to do a few at the same time, maybe we could do this whole collection. You can select them all like that. So I did so I clicked on the first one, hold down shift, clicked on the bottom one, export a bundle, and I give that a name. So I'm going to call that a DW8000 collection, and that's it. Created that bundle now of those sounds. Now it could be like when I talked about the PPG one, as well as the sound patches, I also use custom wavetables, so I want to export them and include it within this bundle. So what I do is I can change that to here to all data, choose my PPG collection, and you can see these wavetables have been tagged with PPG, and these sounds have been tagged with PPG, and these programs have been. So I can pick on the first one, pick on the bottom one, export that as a complete bundle, and that would be my PPG waves collection. So I can do that. So that has exported those as a bundle, so that means I'm including the performance data, the program data, and the wavetable data. So that's done my exporting. So now I can then bring those into my other Modwave, maybe into my native version, because they're not by default synced up or anything like that. So if I go across here to my native version, I go to the library, a librarian, and I've got their import. Here I can choose what I want to import. So that single file, which we looked at before, the string one, I can bring that one in. That's brought that in, and it's saying nothing needed, no changes needed. The Modwave is quite good. If you re-import one that's slightly different, it will give you a notification. In fact, let me show you that. So if I flick back to my DW8000 sound, so say this one here, I'm just going to change something on it. So let's I'm just going to change some parameters on here. Not going to affect the sound, but it's going to make it as a change. Alright, that, okay, I've saved that. I can export that. Now it's saying it already exists, do you want to overwrite or make a unique one? So it's up to you, but I'm going to overwrite it. Okay. And then if I go back to my native one now and import that, now you'll see it's saying, right, we've already got a DW8000 strings and brass without the extra S. What do you want to do? I can cancel it, I can overwrite the other one, or make a unique one. So I'm going to say I'm going to overwrite it, and that's refreshed it. Nice and simple. So that's importing them in. Now we can import that bundle in that I created, so that PPG Waves one. So here you can see this as you see I've got this option again. It's detected this one is slightly different, that's okay. And you see it's detected another one, so I can overwrite or make unique. I'm going to just say overwrite them all. And then after you finish, you get a nice summary, so it's showing you what it's imported there. So that's good. So now if I go into here, all my performances in there, and if I go in and edit one, you can see that it's using PPG Wave 28. That was included in the bundle. So if that hadn't been included, then I wouldn't be able to play that, even if I had the performance data. So that's imported all that in. So it's nice and simple. Going back the other way, there's no difference between native and the hardware one. I can just export that. It's a good way of backing up your sounds. If you're getting a new Modwave, you want to transfer them or you want to share them like I've done. So I've exported those bundles, zipped them up and put them on my website, so you can transfer that. So it's nice and easy, that importing, exporting. If you just wanted to export the wavetables, assuming you didn't want the patches, you can just pick wavetables, select those and export them, select multiple ones and export them as a bundle. Now let's have a look at samples. It's slightly different for samples. So if I go and have a look, so there's a sample I've got, and these are custom samples that I've imported, so that works fine. If I export it, just export it like that and overwrite it, that's great, that works. If I imported that into another Modwave without the sample data, then the patch won't work because it's not included in the bundle. Samples are slightly different. So for samples, it works in a slightly different way, and I use Sample Builder. This is the Korg Sample Builder that you can download. And Sample Builder works with sample patches or samples, and then it works with banks of samples. So if I'll do a separate video on how to build samples actually, but this is how you bring in existing ones. So if I open a bank, which here's a sample bank that I've made, and so here you can see all the samples that I've been working on and the waveforms. So if you were starting out new, you would create a new bank and then you import the samples in. So here's my sample bank. If you start from scratch, you create a new bank and then you go into multi-sample mode, and then you can bring in your wave files and then build them into a bank. But what I'm going to do is open my existing bank, so then I can bring my waveforms in here, start creating samples, and then push them into a bank, push the bank to the Modwave, and then push it to the native one as well. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So to give you an example, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, it's just showing you that the printers will look at it in more details later. I pick a sample sound, say like this. I can give it a name. Fill some details. And I can save that as a multi-sample. So there we go, it's already picked up that name. And then you can see it's in my bank, and I can push that bank to the Modwave now, and I can save it as a bank, and then I can open that and I can transfer that to the other device. So let me open it. Let's not save that one. I'm going to open an existing bank. So here's one I prepared earlier. So these are all my samples. These aren't patches, these are the raw samples that go with the patches. So I recommend that you create this bank like I've done here, and then you can then create new multi-samples. So say this one. So I've got this sample one, I can save the multi-sample one, which you can see now has dropped it into this sample bank. I can save this sample bank, and that is now ready to transfer to the Modwave. I can do send bank, and that has pushed it down to the Modwave. If I go to the Modwave editor, and if I go into the sample list, then you can see that ID test sample. So that you can see I've brought that in, and I can use that in my sounds. That's pushed it down. And now if I wanted to transfer this to the Modwave Native, it's pretty simple. I save bank for plugin, give it a name, ID samples, Korg compile bank, that's fine, replace it. So it now compiles those samples, gets them ready for the native version. If I now go back to the native version, here we are. And if I do sample user banks, here you can see the path to where it expects the compiled file to be, which is exactly where I put it. I can refresh it. Now at the moment the ID test won't exist, but I can refresh it like that. And that has imported that banking, which includes the ID test one. So that's now ready to play in the Modwave as a sample. And there you can see it. So that's where the Modwave Native and the sample and the hardware one are slightly different in the way you bring those in. So if you've downloaded a samples, you need to use Sample Builder to push it into the Modwave and then compile it for the native version as well. If you're just dealing with Wavetables, then you've seen how I did it earlier. It's just a question of exporting the data and into a bundle. So I choose all data, choose the files you want. I'm holding down Control to get multiple ones selected, and export it as a bundle. And then when you want to import the sounds that you've downloaded, you can import that bundle. And that's it. So it's really easy to share sounds, collections, as I've done, especially if they're based on wavetables. If the samples, you've got to do that sample builder just to import them in. And in the future video, I'll show you how you actually can make your own sounds using the samples. It's pretty straightforward, and it works pretty well. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully that'll help. Don't forget, check out, if you've got Modwave, check out all my free patches. I've got DW8000, MS2000, other classic synths, including PPG Wave, which you can download and import in just as I've shown you on there. Thanks for watching.